Hi everyone, how are you? It's Leah Coss with the Mortgage Center, and I wanted to talk about mortgage penalties because I'm sure many of you who are watching this have wanted to leave your home, wanted to move on to a bigger home or a smaller home or just a new home in a different area, but have decided not to simply because your mortgage penalty was going to be $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, and you didn't understand why, but all you knew is you weren't willing to pay that kind of penalty to get out of your mortgage. I wanted to tell you the difference between the two penalties and why in a raising rate market it's actually going to help you. Okay, so you've got the 3-month interest penalty, which is the one that we normally hope for if we're interrupting our mortgage fixed term or variable term. And the other one is the differential. That's the one that really kicks us all in the butt and that we hate. So, when do these two apply? Well, the differential, it's basically whichever one is higher, right? It's how it always is with a bank. So with the differential, what variables matter to this equation is how much is left in your term and what is the difference between rates. Now, in a situation where your rate is low and you're buying into a higher rate, so the market has changed and rates have gone up, this is where it's actually a benefit. You're not going to have to pay a differential. You're going to go with the 3-month penalty. But in the opposite situation, which is what a lot of you are facing right now because we're at historical lows for interest rates, many of you can't get out because the difference between your 5-point-something% or 4-point-something% that you bought into compared to the 369 that it was at the beginning of the year was very, very big. Now, how is a differential calculated? It's very, very complicated. If you find a differential calculator online, just ignore it. Chances are it's not even close to accurate. But what it basically is in a nutshell is what is the difference in percentage between what rates are that you're paying compared to the lower rates of today, and how many months are left in your term. Multiplying those comes out to thousands and thousands of dollars, and that's your differential. The easiest way to know what that exact number is to look on your last mortgage balance, and there'll be a 1-800 number on there somewhere. Call that up and right on the phone they'll be able to give you your penalty as of today. Now, like I mentioned though, in a market where rates are going up, this is fantastic for those of you who have that huge differential payment. Once that rate starts to close in to where there's hardly any difference, for one, your differential amount is going to go down by thousands and thousands of dollars. So it's always important that every time the rates go up, you make that same phone call to that 1-800 line and you say, what's my penalty today? What's my penalty today? And you will see that it gets lower and lower and lower. Once the rates become on par, or your rate is actually, or the rates of today are higher than what you're currently paying, at that point, you actually don't pay a differential because there is no difference. Right? There is a difference, but it's to the bank's benefit that you renew or refinance because you're going into a higher rate. So in that situation, you default to a 3-month interest penalty, and that's going to be the lower amount. That's where you're basically just paying the next 3 months of interest, and that's it. Much, much lower. Okay. The other times that you're going to default to a 3-month penalty is once you hit about the 6-month term, so you've got 6 months left in your term, you're probably going to default to a 3-month interest penalty. Obviously, once you're at 3 months, you're going to have a 3-month penalty because the differential is not going to be very substantial. As well, I always tell people once you hit the 1 year left in your term, start calling on a bi-weekly basis and figure out what is my penalty today, what is it today, and at some point it will go over to not a differential, it'll just become a 3-month interest penalty. So I feel like I've been talking a lot and that might have come out a little confusing for you, but if you have any questions about it, 2 things you can do. 1, call me. 2, call the number on your bank statement and ask them, what is my penalty today? And you can even ask them, what will my penalty be a few months from now? And they can give you a guesstimate. Of course, it does matter what rates are at that point. But yeah, that's basically your options. So if at the beginning of the year you didn't want to sell because your penalty was huge, once the rates start going up, start making phone calls and you'll find that your penalty is substantially lower. So Leah Coss with the Mortgage Center. Hopefully I helped you out more than I confused you.